All right, welcome back to another masterclass with 7 Ways to Wealth. So I am your usual host, Christina Yvette, and usually we have a guest speaker come on and drop gems on whatever industry they're an expert in. But tonight, there's a lot going on out there in the world, in the community, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to entrepreneurship. And so thanks to Brianna, our lovely panelist, she said, we need to bring this to the forefront. We need to address mental health in our community because we are losing a lot of people, and it could be for no reason, right? They just need someone to talk to. So this is such an important topic that we just need to discuss. And we are going to be discussing it tonight on 7 Ways to Wealth. But I am not going to be a host. Okay. So I know usually I'm the one out here talking to you guys, but not today. Today I'm a panelist, and I have a wonderful, phenomenal woman. Her name is Shan Moreno. She is an actress. She's based out of Los Angeles, guys. She has been in a lot of plays and movies, and she does her own short films on YouTube. So go ahead and check her out. She's going to drop her YouTube in the chat. But she is the host for tonight. Hey, Shan, how are you?
Hey, girl. Hey. Look, I know that it doesn't look like I'm an actress right now. I'm in the middle of trying to get to the gym and meet my quota on the day. But I'm so honored that I'm able to share this platform with you all. I want to hear so much about what you guys have going on. And I'm excited to meet new entrepreneurs because I know it wasn't easy for me in the beginning, but it does get better. And so I'm so excited to hear you guys' story.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, so what are we starting with, Shan? We're gonna introduce the panelists, right?
Yes, I'd like for everyone to just go around, give me your first name or your go by name, and tell us a little bit about yourself. If you're not based in the South Florida area, let us know that, and where we can follow you or keep up with your endeavors.
All right. So I'll start, and I guess we'll go around. I don't know what your boxes look like, guys, but we can just go around. Or you know what, Shan, why don't you just call us by names?
Cool. Let's start with you, Christina Yvette.
Okay, cool. Okay. So guys, my name is Christina Yvette. I am a passive income strategist. So I help people create passive income streams. I have a brand called 7 Ways to Wealth, and you guys are right now in the brand. Okay. So we teach financial literacy. We teach people how to create passive income so that they could retire at a young age, because you don't have to retire at 65 years old and work 40 hours for, to build another person's future. So that is what my business is. That's my day-to-day operation, my life. And I am a wife. I'm a mother of 3 children, 10, 4, and 3 years old, and they are my entire world. So I was a mom before I was an entrepreneur. And that's pretty much it with me. I'm based out of Miami, Florida. I other than being an entrepreneur, I am a real estate investor. So that's something that I hold dear to my heart. That's how I got into entrepreneurship. So I am so happy to be a panelist tonight on this hot topic. And it's nice seeing you guys.
Yay. Okay, let's go with Brianna Woods.
Great evening, family. My name is Brianna Woods. I am originally from Miami, Florida, born and raised. Where do I start? I graduated from Miami Northwestern Senior High School. If you know, you know that high schools matter down here. High schools definitely matter down here. So yeah, I graduated from Miami Northwestern. I graduated from college at FIU with my degree, double majored in finance and real estate. So I've always had a passion for money. I'm a mother of a beautiful 2-year-old. I don't know if you saw her briefly. Yeah, her name is Mia. And I mean, I've always had a passion for people, and I guess that was because it was mainly due to the fact that I was raised by a village. And when you are raised by a village, you have a very deep connection when it comes to community. And So because of that, because of the way I was raised, especially by older women and older people, more traditional Southern Miamians, right? I always saw how we were all connected, right? And even more so in the realm of finance. So finance was always a soft spot. I didn't grow up poor at all. However, finance was not like when I got to college, I didn't know what taxes, like what that looked like. I didn't know about credit cards. I didn't know about interest rates. Um, and so that was, something that kind of took me for a loop. And so that's when I got into the financial service industry. In 2016, I got my life insurance license. And then recently this year, I got my health insurance license. And within that span of time, I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. And so now, well, from then up until now, I've started 2 non-for-profits. One of them is currently active, which is the ICU movement for single and co-parent fathers. I have a women's hair protective line where I sell silk headrest covers. I have a tax preparation company. I work in the financial service industry, obviously helping other people and educating individuals how to properly grow, protect, and save their money. And I have an artistic side, so I help with business branding as well as content creation. And you guys can find me on Instagram at Brianna J. Woods, and I'll put it in my name tag. I also have a podcast. So serial entrepreneur is kind of an understatement, but how I see it is if it's to be, it's up to me. So I can't rely on anyone else but myself, and obviously with the grace of God, the Most High, to keep me focused and keep me grounded. So that's it.
Here we go. Here we go.
I love that. That was serial entrepreneurship. I never heard that before. That's really good. I'm gonna take that one. Let's go.
It's not mine. This is all yours. It's not mine. We can all.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yes.
gonna take it. It's up for grabs now. I'm gonna run with it.
Listen.
Okay, let's move on with Leonardo Musa.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Leonardo Musa. I go by Musa, the mental mechanic. Author of the book Forever Fearless. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, shameless plug, get that out there. Also the CEO of Forever Fearless Fashion. This past year, we've been in GQ Magazine. We just opened up New York Fashion Week in Sony Hall. We've got things going on around the world right now. So very, very excited and really blessed about that because we just celebrated 1 year, December 16th. I also have a music production company. We take care of a lot of the music here from like Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, like John Legend, like the list goes on, music and Creed and things like that. Also been a motivational speaker for the last 20 plus years. And so the big purpose of Forever Fearless and the whole brand and the clothing brand as well is just to help people understand that life is a journey, your body's a vehicle, your mind is the motor. And if your mind is or / motor is broken, then that's why people don't go anywhere. This is why this plays into the whole thing of mental health, especially in regards to people being broken down. And hope is the gas. When people run out of hope, they run out of life, and so ultimately that's the big push, is to help people understand that they matter, that they're if they have a dream that they're going for, then you have hope of something. But if you feel like it's impossible, then you just quit. And unfortunately, that's what happens a lot of times in life. And also an actor. So and I could mention off a million other things, but I'll keep things short. That's who I am, and all around international hope dealer. So
I love that. Oh my God. Okay. That's made me excited.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Since we're on the music tip, King Hoodie, can you please stand up and introduce yourself?
Yes. What's up, man? My name is King Hoodie. Nice to meet everybody here. I'm super honored. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm super honored to be in here in this room full of incredible people. Shout out to Christina, Shan, Brianna. I believe I just briefly met you at the last community event that we did. Yeah, no, it's really cool. I'm a recording artist. I run a production. I'm a recording artist. I run a production company here in Miami. Me and my 2 business partners manage myself and a crew of other artists. We also set up live events and just do all sorts of like productions when it comes to just kind of bringing people together. For example, we have an event coming up February the 4th. This is actually going to be a different type of event. It's actually going to be about a financial literacy. A friend of mine reached out to me last week, and he wants to call it LIT, lit literacy, and teach all these different artists how to like pretty much manage their finances in a way that's beneficial. And I heard Brianna said about saving, growing, and protecting. And it's funny because I just had an entire conversation about him. He was just telling me that like, yo, it's a pyramid and these are the different things going up. So I'm definitely a student of that right now. I would love to learn from everybody in finance and entrepreneurship. But at the same time, I'm a recording artist. I'm in the music industry. I've done a lot of different stuff, been on Sway in the Morning, been on the radio. We just did an NFT event in Los Angeles. And yeah, I'm just here and I'm excited to be here and I'm excited to talk to people about mental health and success and entrepreneurship.
I love it. Okay, let's move forward with our last panelist, Lamont Johnson.
Great evening, everyone. Super excited to be here tonight. It's an honor. My name is Lamont Johnson. I'm the CEO and owner of Supreme Solutions Group. We are a financial literacy education company with a marketing arm called the World Changers and Associates that allow us to help those we serve implement what we teach. We recently struck a deal with the Department of Education here in New York, and we're going to actually work with the students to create financial literacy curriculum. But prior to that, we're working from the top down. So we're starting with the superintendents, principals, assistant principals, and even the parent coordinators, because if our educators are not financially literate, how can people in that system buy into, how money works? So making sure that these people are equipped and then executing on the student side is the goal of our brand. We also help business owners, retain more money. Really, when people ask me what I do, I help people keep more of their money. And I love that because you see how society's positioning us to be consumers, right?
Yeah.
But as we get more senior, it's our assets that are actually going to take care of us or not. So I'm super excited to be here today. I have corporate experience, gave my life to corporate America for 17 years, but I didn't go in there trying to get a job. I went in there to get some skills, right? Because skills pay the bills, believe it or not.
Right.
Company's only going to pay you based on their budget, but your skill set, you can create your own reality. So I'm excited to be amongst all your entrepreneurs, and God bless you and everything you're doing.
I love that. It seems like we have like a really well-balanced group of people, and I'm super excited to know you guys' journey and also get this information out to the world. I know that we're recording this just so that we have everybody's consent. Can I get a yes? We are allowed to use your image for this moment in time.
Yes.
Let's start with Christina.
Yes.
Can I get a yes?
Yes.
Okay, Leonardo.
Yeah, we good.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm like, talk to my lawyer.
King Hoodie, can I get a yes? King Hoodie.
Yes, I'm down, super down.
Okay, Brianna.
It looked like she stepped away for a moment.
Oh, that's how she want to act? Okay. All right. See that?
Okay.
Wow. All right.
We'll address that later. And Lamont,
Yeah, a little bit of money.
the first person to
Yes.
say yes, but can I get it on the record?
We're good.
Perfect. Okay. Christina, how would you like me to, are we showing something tonight or am I going straight for my curious questions?
Yeah, you just dive into your questions.
Okay, so my first question, I like the way that Lamont started with, I'm going to start at the top in order to, figure out how we can effectively affect the people at the bottom. So I want to know what, if any, what entrepreneurship, I guess, things did you know or learn at home earlier on? I guess we can go down the list again, or maybe you guys can jump in and then we can organize that way. I'm all for open floor discussions. I don't want to feel like I'm telling adults when to speak. So if it hits you when I ask the question, feel free to jump in.
Wait,
So you said, what did we learn at home?
Yeah, what entrepreneurship did you learn at home, if any?
Yeah. Yeah, Christina, you was about to shoot.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, for me, I saw entrepreneurship growing up because my dad, he's a contractor, and so he was, working for himself my entire life, and seeing that basically put that desire into my heart to, to want to work for myself. But I didn't know that I was an entrepreneur until I started working, until I got into, into my first job. And my first job was McDonald's, right? And I was a cashier, 14 years old, but my mind was working, another way. And so I was thinking to myself, I was like, how can I own this McDonald's? How can I be a franchisee? How can I operate this whole entire thing? And that's how I looked at, every single job, just like, how can I, run this whole operation? And so when I had that first job and I saw the day-to-day operations and I got to talk to the franchisee owners and stuff like that, that's when I knew that, that fire was in my heart, and I had to, I knew I was destined to like own my own business. And I just, that's when the desire happened. So I seen it at home, growing up. And then, early on as a teenager, I experienced it. I experienced, seeing it and had that desire.
Okay. Anyone else grow up with entrepreneurship skills or leadership in the home?
Yeah, I would say, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, on my side, I would say that I did as well. My parents came from Sierra Leone, West Africa. You probably see it up there. Like working in the diamond mines. So just the hope of coming out to America with absolutely nothing, first generation, 50 plus years ago, and like watching my parents work two jobs, and then realizing that my mother was like going into school to try and be a nurse, but then she was also being like an Avon lady. For those who are old enough, y'all know what that is. So she's like throwing me in the back seat. I'm watching her ride around and getting it. I'm like, wow, man, my mom was a drug dealer. That's cool. You know what I mean? And really, she was like selling deodorant and stuff like that. But just the fact of understanding that you've got to do more, and that you can't just be reliant on one thing at that point, because especially back then, it was just so racist that, someone can walk in, you're fired, right? And that right there struck a chord in me in regards to how do any of us feel secure knowing that somebody else can walk in one day, have a bad day, and just be like, hey, you're done, and affect your life and the way that you live and your future generations just by that. And so watching that, my father, had so many like odd jobs, but he at one point he was an ice cream man, another person he was doing this, and I was watching him freeze the things, ultimately ended up being a scientist, right? But it's just the fact of hustling and doing those things. And then they also had a church, and whether we realize it or not, a church is an entrepreneurial like business to a certain degree, right? Like there are business aspects to it. Obviously, there's separation of church and state, but still, ultimately, it's something that you started. Like they're not just handing churches out, you know what I mean? So the marketing to get people in the church, like the help, the understanding, that things that we would do back to the community to give back and forth. So watching that just like struck a fire in me that you just got to go get it, by any means necessary legally. So.
It's funny, Leonardo mentioned legally. I grew up in Harlem in the 80s. So I got to see some CEO work on the other side of the tracks. Wasn't really attracted to that because that's short-lived. But just like Leonardo, my parents were so hardworking, and I saw that hard work was just not it, like alone, right? Hard work is a component of it. But where you put your energy really can reimburse you immensely. So I also learned, because I follow my parents getting multiple jobs, that the more you work on a W-2, the more the IRS takes from you, right? So I was actually making less with the more jobs that I acquired. So that inspired me to come up with other ways to look for income, because income is something you can control. Your job controls your salary. And that wasn't something I learned until late. But, just having that example of hard work and integrity at home, I had a safe place to be able to grow into entrepreneurship.
Wow. King Hoodie.
Yes. No, man. I don't know if anybody could tell, but Christina and I are actually siblings. We almost look like twins. So when she's talking about having hustlers for parents, she's talking about our parents collectively. So yeah, our father was definitely a hustler. Like, honestly, hearing her say he was a contractor is the first time I ever heard it. You know what I'm saying? Because he had so many other jobs, so many other things he was doing. He started and founded more corporations and businesses than I've ever seen anybody start. And then my mother, she was extraordinarily a hustler. Like, she never had an actual 9 to 5 until what? You were pregnant with your first child, Christina? Like, you were already an adult. And Christina, you actually got her that job. But historically, our entire life, we just saw her hustling. She would do things that I've never seen another woman do. She would just leave, go out and get it. And all this stuff was respectable. She was tremendously hardworking. She'll clean somebody's house. She'll move furniture. She'll do all sorts of things that I've just never seen anybody do before. I remember helping my father do a million types of odd jobs. I can do almost anything that you need done. I can get it done. I remember helping my father rip apart a freezer. Like, I'm not talking about like a refrigerator. I mean an industrial freezer in a grocery store. Rip it apart, strip it down to the metals, and then take the metals to a plant, have them chop it up, and then we get the money back, which isn't a lot of money, surprisingly. So it's just like understanding the hard work is tremendous. Like, there's one saying that I live by, and it's anytime I'm laying down, I'm like, yo, you could be anything you want in the world, but you can't be lazy. I always have to get up, and I always have to go there, and I always have to get it, in some way, shape. And even like in some of my crazier moments in life, some people won't understand how I'm getting it, but I'm getting it by getting it. You know what I'm saying? You go out there into the world, and sometimes you might not even have like a definitive way of bringing back money, but okay, I'm going to apply myself. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get something done. Somebody has a need and I can satisfy it by doing something. You know what I'm saying? So there's just so many different ways to get it, especially now. Like, we're very spoiled with social media and all these different ways to get money. You have Cash Apps and Zells and PayPals and so many different ways to get the money. So yeah, man, hustling. We got it. So yeah.
Okay. Brianna, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm here. I'm him. So part of being an entrepreneur and a mom, full-time mom, you might have to just disappear for 2 minutes, take her to the party. So I apologize about that. And this is my life right now.
It is right? All good. We're just talking about entrepreneurship in the home, and like if you saw any leadership in your home in terms of entrepreneurship.
My mom worked for the City of Miami Police Department for 27 years as a supervisor dispatcher. Every time I tell someone that, a police officer, firefighter, they say themselves, wow, that's a hard job. So my mom did that, raising me as a single parent. She adopted me at the age of 41. I was 3 months old or something like that, 4 or 5 months, whatever. So she's a single mom working at the City of Miami Police Department, right? And when you're a dispatcher, you work like almost all day, any time of the night, any hurricane, any storm, any emergency, she's gone. She had to be there. Mr. Musa, my mom also did Avon. So
there we go.
I have
Sling
plenty
that
of fun in those Avon boxes.
You already know.
Yeah, plenty of
I still got some right now. I mean, what you trying to do?
He does. It's a little like, I'm like, sis, like, why you ain't been recruited? Like, she's been doing Avon before I was born, okay? Yeah. I'm almost 30. Like, these women are crazy, okay? But that was like, they just had a different mindset when it comes to hard work. Right. Like, when King Hoodie said we're spoiled, he is not lying. And I think I may be the youngest person on here. Like, I didn't start with cell phones. We started playing outside. We climbed trees. We walked to the candy lady house, right? But I grew up into this era, so I'm still technically a baby of this, and we are very, very spoiled, you know. And my mom put me in everything, and was everywhere. At every school, they thought she worked there. She put me in Girl Scouts, and you sell Girl Scout cookies. Every year I won first place, but it was my mom selling the cookies. Like, My mom was like the definition of hustler, and like she just can't stop. She's been retired since '02, and she's now the Alumni Association president. I'm like, girl, when are you gonna sit down? But well, and in saying that, she taught me the definition of hustle. Like there is no break. And sometimes she kind of gets mad at me when she sees me all over the place. But I'm like, I'm gonna take a look in the mirror, mama. You taught me this. You taught me how to like I'm nonstop. That's why I'm doing so many things. I have to be doing something. So definitely entrepreneurship, hustle, um, just immaculate work ethic. Like wherever I was, you know, even when I did door-to-door sales, I was always on top, door to door. Like, and I really got my work ethic from her. So for sure.
So good. It's so interesting that like nobody grew up in a household where like their parents were like by the book, except for me. Let me say that. My parents were by the book. My parents had jobs. They was like, we gonna leave these lights on, and that hustle stuff, like it's here and there. It's not certain. So we're gonna clock in every single day. So I find it interesting that I'm in a space of entrepreneurship and they actually think I'm crazy. Like I'm the black sheep of the family. They look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And why are you doing it? They just don't understand it. So it's interesting. I'm gonna take these stories and like have to explain it to them with my wins, because my parents unfortunately believe that everything is a hobby unless it's bringing you money. I get it. But these stories, yeah, I'm gonna have to take something from each and every one of them. What
can I add to that, Shan?
Shan, go ahead, tell me.
So yes, you're gonna have to. You are breaking a mentality that has been passed down to them. It's not their fault. So even though my mom held down a 9 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, and did her little Avon on the side, but to her, me, no, you need to be working. You need to get a steady job.
Yep.
We have to prove we can't like not even prove to them that we can do it. We have to prove them wrong. That you can't. You know what I'm saying? So you're breaking that barrier. And the first hit is always gonna be the hardest hit. I don't know if you've ever played a sport, but if you ever been tackled before, that first tackle, it freaking sucks. But then no, I'm saying that first tackle sucks. But then after a while, the blows start to get, they still hurt, but you have resilience, right? So you're doing an awesome job. And I'm so glad that you're even doing this right now, because that even
1,000%.
That this even speaks to mental health, because it's the people who care about us the most, right? Who have great intentions that end up doing a lot of damage, or the most damage.
Man.
So I'm so glad God put you on my heart, and God put you on sis heart too. Like we both said you. Seriously. So you are breaking the curses. That means that you are capable. You are equipped. Whatever blows that your parents are throwing at you, I know it's gonna hurt. But I told you that first tackle will hurt like a mother. I'm telling you, it's gonna hurt. The only thing that you owe anything to them, the only way you can honor them is by being better than them. And I'll shut up.
Yeah. I actually want to piggyback off by what Brianna was saying, because everything was super on point, especially in regards to your life, right? Like the fact that you are going against the grain, and so lovingly, like she mentioned, sometimes the people that love us the most that try to subconsciously be protective, but actually they're harming us, so even with like Kobe Bryant, his counselor was like, yeah, you should probably try to do something realistic. You see what I'm saying? Like telling Kobe Bryant, you should try and do. So what if he listened to your counselor who's supposed to be over you, right? If you ever get a chance, there's a book called The Superior Male, and there's a chapter entitled "Live as if your father's dead." And it's sad to say that, but whether we realize it or not, subconsciously, we all want our father's approval. We all want to do things to try and play within the lines, but at the end of the day, it's like you don't get any bigger reward. If anything, you might have regret. The whole reason why I even wrote the book ultimately was because I was working in a law firm for 5 years and I was doing estate planning. And so all my clients were like 80 plus years old. So if I'm sitting at your dinner table, it's because I'm helping you plan your death. And so over and over and over and over, you hear these people who are lawyers and doctors like start tearing up because they're like, oh snap, like my game is over. Like it's about to be a wrap right now. Like we're literally going down the list of your kids' names of who things are going up. There ain't no redos. You know what I mean? And like how many times people would be like, hey, if I was younger again, I would have really gone for it. I would have really tried. And I'm 22 at that time, and I'm like, man, shut up. You know what I mean? And all them being like, it seems like just yesterday I was 20 years old. And then like, at that time you just think you're invincible, and all when you're young is youth and strength. Until you get to that age, and 5 people say it, then it's 20. Now it's hundreds of elderly people that I've spoken to that have regret in their eye because they didn't do what they wanted to do. They played out what was safe. And so even to the mentality of what Christina was saying about her working at McDonald's, and then think like, who are you to even think that you could possibly like, how dare you think that you could be a franchise owner? You're flipping burgers. Get back on the fries. You know what I mean? Like, and so the fact that you got to rebel against the locked in mindset of what the box people want to put you in. Even your parents, like they made you walk, they taught you your first words. Oh, she said, Mama, ain't that so cute? God bless her. You know what I mean? And then the fact that now you want to stray away from the plan that they possibly have in their mind for you. Again, I have all the respect in the world for you. You know what I mean? I definitely want to send you a book, because the last chapter of my book is called Fear Fighters. And these are all my friends that are in the music industry that I helped get into acting, you know what I mean, who have #1 things on Netflix right now. But all of them started from somewhere. None of their parents were like, yeah, go ahead and go do that. Like I had one boy, Leland Martin, who drove from Jersey, quit his job, drove from Jersey all the way across the country to California, slept on couches for 2 years. And then one month he's like, yo, hey, I'm honestly like, this is it. And his mom's like, actually, something like God told me, like, just stay one more month. That month, Holly Berry called him and they rebooted. What is it? I think it's called whatever that show is called, but they rebooted it and then it got showed for another time. So now he's making $25,000 off each show for 2 whole seasons. And then he went on to do something with Kevin Hart that went #1, right? And it's like, but what if he would have given up? So it's like our parents don't understand that. They don't understand this world. My dad's 83. He doesn't understand how I get royalties from books and how I get royalties from music. And then when I sell him, he's like, hey, are you selling drugs? You are selling drugs. You are definitely, what about that? You're still selling drugs. And it's like, they just don't understand that. So again, sorry to be long-winded, but man, I just have all the respect in the world for you. Just even having the bravery to pursue it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I want to know what made you guys so brave about pursuing like this entrepreneurship field. I know that it's so easy to like be an entrepreneur now because you see so many opportunities and so many ways in the door, but what led you into entrepreneurship and what led you specifically into the field that you chose?
I'll definitely start with that. So, like I said earlier, I was a mom before I was an entrepreneur. And so I was working 12-hour shifts as a nurse, and I had a new baby. I had a 1-year-old son at that time when I got into entrepreneurship. And my desire for wanting to be, to buy back my time, basically, and to spend more time with him was the reason that led me into entrepreneurship. Because, I knew that I wanted to give him a better life. And I knew that I had to do something, and it wasn't going to be me, working overtime. That was going to lead me to that. So I saved up a bunch of money and I started investing in real estate and I started flipping houses. And that is where my entrepreneurship, journey started. I started with a real estate company and, investing in real estate, but that's what led me to it. Just being a mom, knowing that I was spending more time with my coworkers than my son, knowing that I had to rely on my parents to watch my baby because obviously I had to put, I had to make money and put food on the table. And so I knew that if I started a business, then I could make my own hours and my money wouldn't be capped, right? Like Lamont said, right? You have this salary and they cap you at 60,000. So at that point, I think I was making probably 60,000 a year. And so I wanted more, but I wanted more, not for myself. I wanted more for him. So it was that mompreneurness that led me into entrepreneurship.
I love that, mompreneur. You better coin that. I like that. Okay. How about Lamont? What led you to the field that you're in now, and why entrepreneurship and not something else?
Wow, that's I'm not gonna be long with it, but just know that coming up and seeing people take the same path and expecting different results didn't sit well with me, right? So when you look at this whole thing, 97% of the population works for 3% of it. So when you step into entrepreneurship, people are not going to understand you because the majority is doing the same thing. And I worked in corporate and I saw my seniors, 20, 25 years, 30 years of their life given to a craft. And then afterwards become dependent, right? Dependence of the government, dependence of their families to supplement their lifestyle. And many of them were expected to reduce their lifestyle. So if you couldn't make it on 100% of your income for 20 years,
You feel me?
what makes you think that the last 30 or 20, whatever the Lord allows you on the back, you're going to be okay with that, right? So financial literacy, I knew that was the gap. Because even when I got to the executive levels of corporate America, making, very good money, being in those boardrooms, making those decisions, I was still a consumer. My lifestyle and my income was neck and neck. Might have had more expenses than my income. And meanwhile, I look great on the outside, right? Next year's vehicle, best apartment in the city, suits for days, cleaning bill, all that stuff. I knew that if I lost that income, I was fried. And it was like anxiety and stress. And I was like, I never want to be in this position again. So a good friend of mine sat down with me and did a financial analysis, and it changed my life because I actually got to see that I was eating, driving, and wearing my future away financially. And I said, wait, I'm not the only one that's experiencing this. Yeah. And me being a resourceful person, growing up with a little bit of resources, doing a lot, I said, there's a market for this. I need to get into this space. And God allowed it. In 2019, I was able to fire my employer. Since then, we've expanded nationally with agents being able to help families and business owners just get the guidance they need, because every coach needs a coach, right? And it's like whenever you believe that you reach your max or your limit, or wherever you get to the point where you believe you know it all, that's when the house starts crumbling, because the world keeps changing, information keeps evolving, and everybody should have somebody ahead of them just looking out for them, maybe seeing angles that they don't see. So I'm super grateful for this experience. I always say it's a world-class personal development program, right? With an outstanding compensation package, because you really can control your destiny depending on the focus that you put towards it.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Awesome.
King Hoodie, what led you into music, and not only music as an artist, but as a production company owner?
I love music. I just had one question for Lamont. Did you say in 2019 you fired your employer?
I love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother. The crazy thing is, working in corporate, I resigned 3 times. Every 3 years, I would do a checkup from the neck up. And I will go to the person who was in front of me and I say, hey, I need more money. What does that look like? And the minute they start stuttering, I submit my resignation the next day. And I will go and work in hospitality, working doors in nightclubs, making more money than I was making in corporate anyway. But I always had a problem with somebody telling me how much I could get paid.
Man, facts.
So it has to come to a point where it's like, all these skills that we acquired all throughout our life, can we actually go do something with that? You know, so yeah, I gave my walking papers this December, I want to say December 12th, 2019.
Love it.
Started LLC. We've been out since then.
I like that, man. I like your
Congrats.
verbiage. You said walking papers. That's dope. The question was, what made me get into entrepreneurship and music, or music?
Well, music is your medium for entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, but I could hustle anything. I could hustle a
Oh
million.
God. So
million-
what led you to entrepreneurship, and why music specifically? Why music and not another form of art like real estate or whatever it is?
I'll tell you directly. It was I've always liked music, right? Like I could find myself getting lost in music. It's something that like I could just listen to for hours, get lost in it. I begin to create scenes in my mind when it comes to music. I love it. I love music. And it was about 2012. I was working at a gym, Planet Fitness, and I liked it. It helped me get my people skills together. I didn't really have people skills until then. But a book, I stumbled across a book. There was a guy who came to the church I was going to. His name was Dave Martin. And he was promoting his newest book called 12 Traits of the Greats. And I'm not somebody who had ever like really taken reading seriously. So I went and I actually got his book. And in reading it, there was one chapter where he was talking about fear or something like that. And he was like, if you're truly afraid of failing at something, then the presence of that fear may be a key indicator that you've accurately identified what you really need to be doing with your life. And those words kind of just burned into my head, because I asked myself, I was like, okay, so he's saying that whatever you're the most afraid of is what you should be doing. And I was like, all right. So I began asking myself, like, what am I afraid of? And I was like, running through the list, like lawyer, doctor, pilot, soldier, all these different things. I could do it, I could do it, I could do it. And I'm not afraid of failing at any of them, because like if I fail once at the bar, I'll take it again. If I fail another thing, like I feel like everything else, you have unlimited tries almost. So I could keep going for it. But the only thing that I felt like I would hate to fail at was music. That was only, I was like, oh, that shit would hurt, because I'm being vulnerable. I'm putting myself out there. I'm creating songs. You know what I'm saying? I got to stand in front of people, like all sorts of shit. It gave me anxiety just thinking about it. And I just had that moment with that little phrase in this book. And that changed everything for me. I was like, damn, okay. So in lieu of me standing here and trying to figure out what I should do to bring me the most amount of money in my early 20s, trying to just, what can I do next? I came across that paragraph and it said, I just decided music. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do music. I have no clue how I'm gonna do it. I didn't have any connections. I don't got an uncle who's in the industry, not a friend. Nobody was a DJ. I really started from the outskirts. And I had to like re-engineer my entire self. I had to re-engineer my approach to learning. I had to re-engineer my approach to people. I had to re-engineer my approach to everything, my self-confidence, my mind. I had to change every part of myself in order to be good enough to even go into the streets, go into these clubs and these parties, try to sell CDs, talk to promoters, set up my own shows, get belief enough in the city to now I do an event, I bring out 300, 400 people, come just to see me like nobody else. And that to me is incredible. So that's really how I got into it. Like that paragraph mixed with something that was deeply like buried inside of me, like a passion I didn't even think I could pursue. It just came to the forefront as being the only thing I would hate to fail at. Like, what would you hate to fail at? And that was the only thing. I'm scared to fail at this. And that's how I ended up into music. And now I just treat it like everything else. Now it's like just layups, you know what I'm saying? I've been shooting at this same basket for so long. It's like, there will be nothing else, you know what I'm saying? So that's it.
King Hoodie, what's the name of the book again? I'm sorry, I didn't even get it.
12 Traits of the Greats. It's by a dude named Dr. Dave Martin. I think I actually have here, hold on one second. I'll bring it. 12.
Okay, while he's getting that book, Mr. Musa, what led you into entrepreneurship in the form that you're hustling for right now?
Yeah, I'd say ultimately it's my love and empathy for people, you know, and I mean that in regards to, again, the book and the whole brand is focused on mental health. And there's a chapter in the book entitled, If You're Reading This Right Now, you know, and it was kind of like my suicide letter. Like I'd left the job at the law firm, went out to California, you know, pursued music for like the first time with my producer. We were about to get signed, things were good, Then we get dropped from the label, everything falls apart. Like, you know what I mean? The chains, the cars, the house, everything like is getting taken away and repossessed and all that stuff like that. And I'm just able to tuck everything into, I send my producer back first. And with the little money that I have left, I just stick everything in my car, and it's a 32-hour drive back to Minneapolis at that point. And like I remember falling asleep at the wheel and hitting the guardrail like in the middle of the night, and then like turning the car, and then like a dark thought just came to me, and it was like, "Hey, you ain't got nothing to live for anyway. It's like you already messed everything up. You ain't got nothing to go back to." I was like, honestly, and I'm looking at the rails in the canyons, and I'm realizing that there's no rail at in certain parts, and I'm like, if there was ever a time, I was like, now would be the time to do it. I was like, and honestly, it's like no one would think I committed suicide. They would just think that I fell asleep at the wheel, And so I just remember like speeding up, and then like battling between like calling my parents and like telling them I'm sorry or not, or giving them, because if I don't call them, then I'll give them the peace that maybe they'll think that it was an act of God, And so I just remember like a car coming out of nowhere, and I'm like trying to like dial for my parents like number, and like an old voice message just pops up from my dad, and he's like, "Son, I love you. No matter what's going on in your life, just always remember that we love you." You know what I mean? And then like is what literally like steered me back on track. So long story short, I've dedicated my life to that, right? Because whether we realize it or not, statistically, they show that there's 800,000 people that commit suicide a year. 800,000 people are like, "Hey, life's not worth living. I'm out." And so mathematically, that's somebody every 10 minutes. So by the time we finish this, talk right here, 3 people would have already been like, "You know what? It's not worth anything. I have no hope in life," And so like my life's already good. I'm already like well established. Like even after losing everything, like I've been super blessed. I'm also like a tech tycoon. We have a firm that we're going to sell in 2024 for 100 million. Like that's already set in place. But it's like these people, if I don't do it, I don't know who will. We don't have systems in place for that. I'm ex-military as well, right? And was a chaplain in there. And so we don't even have a program for people coming out of the military. And a lot of my battle buddies would commit suicide, right? Because they're coming back from Iraq. Minds are all screwed up. You're watching people blow up. They have no system to help them adapt back to civilian life, And so that's just really where my heart is. And it's like, I will burn up all my money, my whole life. This is my whole life's mission, is to get the message out to people that you matter, that you're made for a reason, and that there is hope of your dreams coming true, and that you are an answer to a problem for something on earth. So that's my big thing. That's my big why.
Wow. I know that Brianna is preoccupied with her little mini me, but he's coming back. Okay, Brianna.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, I actually want to get my charger, so.
Perfect. That's exactly what I did. That's why I'm kind of off right now, but you'll see me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what led you to entrepreneurship in the form that, or in the medium that you've chosen to hustle it?
Mediums.
Sorry. Correct me.
No. First, finance, because there was no financial anything in the household I grew up in. Now, I will tell you this. I don't know if you guys know this, but when a kid is adopted, their biological parents relinquish all parental rights. So they're legally they're not allowed to make any contact with that child anymore. Now, God had other plans, because I grew up actually knowing my biological family, and my adopted family was like, I guess you could say like the typical African American family. Like we weren't dirt poor, we weren't rich. There was money to get what I needed, and some of the things that I wanted. However, my biological father's family, who I grew up knowing, they were all very successful. And when I mean successful, like they own their own businesses, COOs. My uncle actually right now is one of their head investment fund advisors for New York Life. So he makes money. And I just saw that, like, the wisdom and also the career that coupled with that wisdom. And I always wanted that for myself. I truly wanted to be, and I'm going to be, the first, if not the second, multimillionaire of my family. And that was like the mindset that I had. I didn't know where it was going to come from, but I knew that I liked to teach. I knew that financial literacy was extremely important, especially in my community. Amongst other talents that I have, you know, those came about later on. Like I sing as well. I write music. I rap, but I just never saw myself, dabbling into the industry. Um, but I've always been an artist, so that's where the branding and marketing kind of like aspect came into play. And I just felt like I had so many gifts. Like God gifted me with so much. Like I had to pour into all of them. Like why not? Why not be an educator? Why not be a content creator? Why not, you know, help women with their hair, help men with their hair? Why not help people with taxes? Like why not? And so um I kind of envy people who have like a focus, like a one thing. I kind of envy them because, you know, there's no difference between the difference between a light bulb and a laser is not the voltage, it's the focus. They're both 100 watts. People don't even know that. It's the focus that makes the laser so much more powerful. So I've always kind of like envied individuals who had that type of like one niche. But well, and there's this, kind of like for an allegory in the Bible, like, when these gentlemen were given gifts, how did you multiply or did you just stick with one? Like, what'd you do?
Yep.
I was given so many gifts. I have to cultivate them. I have to nourish them. I have to water them. I have to feed them all. And so I'm everywhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let me ask this, because all of you guys' answer just tells so much about the mental health state. It kind of like, I guess, the mental toll that it takes on being an entrepreneur. It's not always easy. And I know that with social media, it's easy for people to assume that it is. So what advice would you give those who are looking to be entrepreneurs? And what's some advice that you were given helped you in your entrepreneurship? Christina, let's go with you.
So as far as advice, like I would tell anybody and everybody, like, although it's not easy, do not give up. Do not give up. Keep going. Even in dark times, even when you losing everything, even when the lights are off, even when it looks like failure, because you have to fail. You have to fail in order to succeed, in order to have that testimony, in order to be able to see, that business flourish, right? Because I look at a business the way that I look at my children, right? The business is born, and then you have to nurture the business and you have to watch it grow. And so if you see like, hey, the business is not growing, are you just going to, give up and walk away? Or are you just going to, be consistent, stay there and watch it grow and take its own pace? Because sometimes people, they want like, overnight success, but it's not realistic. Sometimes it takes a decade. But as long as you, keep going, and as long as you are consistent and show up for your business every single day, just like you would show up for your job every single day, and that your life depends on, on this, then that's the best advice that I could give. Then you will see it through. You will see it through.
What's the best advice you received? in your years of entrepreneurship?
I think the best advice that I received was wherever you're going in life, yeah, especially like with your business or your, or your career or anything, find somebody who's already there. Talk to them, take them out for lunch, pick their brain, or even like, get a coach or a mentor or anything like that. And so that's exactly what I did. Like when I was first in real estate, I got, I took out, so I went to a boot camp, and it was like a 3-day boot camp, and it was from this guy that he's like locally down here. And when it was time to go to lunch, everybody went to lunch. I was like, I need to take you to lunch. Like, I need to pick your brain more than what you're just telling us here. And so that's exactly what I did. And I got, more information, and, I feel like that was the best thing, because if that person is already there, like in my instance with my real estate, company, it's like, okay, if this person is flipping 100 houses, like they're doing something right. I need to find out what that is. And so I need to talk to that person. So I feel like that was the best advice that I got early on, especially like, being in my early 20s.
Right. Lamont, what advice would you give someone who is looking to be an entrepreneur themselves, and what was the best advice that you were given in your entrepreneurship?
I think Christina hit it head on. For me, if you're looking to get into entrepreneurship, you have to understand that you're forever a student. Every experience is an opportunity to learn. You're gonna have to, and King Hoodie mentioned that you're gonna have to re-engineer a lot of the behaviors, the understandings, your awareness that you've probably been programmed with. Get ready to be policing yourself, right? Because how can you lead if you can't tell yourself what to do? And then, like Christina mentioned, the communities are big, man. Like your network, right? Who are you spending time with? Are they ahead of you? You should have people ahead of you. You should have people on the same level as you, and you should be looking to bring some other people up in the process as well. It's a lot to it, but investing in yourself, right? So she even mentioned going to workshops and, taking people to lunch. That's your new expenses, rather than going out there looking like you're doing it. You want to make sure that you're building yourself, and not being afraid to fail. At the end of the day, our education system is failing us, right? They give us the answers, and then we get the test. And in life, it doesn't even work that way. Life is all about the test, and then your revelation comes. It might not even come in that time. Like Christina said, it might be a decade later. So all of those things. Just be strong in your conviction about what you're doing. I think if enough people understand your conviction about how serious you are about what you're doing, if you tell enough people that over and over time, you'll see like the world will attract to you in some form.
That's great. Leonardo?
Yeah.
Give someone, and what's the advice that you received, the best advice that you received in your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, thanks so much. Kind of based on what Lamont had just mentioned as well, the study, right? Because students study. So the fact that we should always be studying because we're students of life, right? But study, plan, and then execute, right? Because study, right? Like, so this goes back into what Christina was talking about. Take someone out to lunch. I'm on YouTube all the time. So like, I never knew how to write books. YouTube, right? I don't know how to design clothes. Nothing about it. YouTube, right? So it's like, so the research, then you plan out, then you execute with excellence, right? Because people can research, and they're like 2 years later, oh, I'm just still researching. Like, nah, at some point you got a plan. Okay, now I got a plan. But then that's where bravery comes in, because sometimes you can have the plan and then still be scared, right? Like there's a verse in the Bible that says that the sluggard is so lazy that he'll put his spoon in the bowl and be too lazy to bring it back to his mouth. That always scared me so much as a child. I was like, how can someone be that lazy? But it ultimately translates into, you can make a plan and then not execute. You're throwing an alley-oop and then no one goes up to slam. Like you're setting yourself up and then not finishing. Life is about finishing. Life is about execution, So again, study, plan and then you're executing it. Like bravery, Forever Fearless is not about not feeling fear. I feel fear all the time. I've been speaking for 20 years. Every time I get up, I'm still afraid. I'm afraid right now. But guess what? Bravery is taking action in the face of fear. So it's the fact that we're still going to get things done, no matter how we feel. So that's my 2 cents on that.
King Hoodie.
Man, I love that. I just want to give Leonardo props, man, because I really was dialed in when he was talking about that existential battle he had on that cliff when he hit that railing, man. That's rare.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
Mental health, we don't talk about that enough. I think maybe some people feel real vulnerable about discussing, like, nah, we all battle with what it is to be human, our own humanity, and sometimes the power that we have and being able to check out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll give you props, man, for real. That's real.
Always.
Some great advice that I received or that I would want to give to somebody, or is it both? I would definitely want to give to somebody the advice, man, like, go the extra mile. Like, even what Christine said about, like, you know, she took the guy out to lunch. That just the first thing that popped into my head when she said that, like, that's like, oh man, go the extra mile. It made me think of Sway in the Morning. Like, I was blessed to be on Sway in the Morning. If anybody knows what Sway is, I mean, sure. But I was blessed to be able to fly up to New York and be on the Sway in the Morning and rap my heart out, which was like, you know, a dream come true for me. But it all started based on the fact that he came to Miami. He set up shop in a spot down here, Wood Tavern. He just let a whole bunch of people come and rap. There's probably like 100, 200 people in the line to rap. Me and my whole like crew of artists, we got to rap first and we did our thing. But I noticed that when the show was over, the production was over, everybody just kind of poured out into the street and left. And I thought that was so weird. I'm like, yo, when you get this opportunity again, so I just snuck into the back. I just walked right around and I knew the security guy. I'm like, man, I'm going to the back. You got to get that execution. Like, we started, but yeah, I'm gonna need somebody. I'm gonna need confirmation I'm going to New York to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not done. So I went to the back and I was able to meet the producer Kelly Kincaid. You know, she's an incredible woman. She was like, yo, have I seen you before? I'm like, nah. She was like, oh, well, you know, and I got her information. We started talking, and then, yeah, I'm the only one of the 200 people. I'm the only one who went up to New York and did the full show. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but to me, that was simple math. But to others, I think maybe they thought, you know, that was enough. It was enough to be there. Like, nah, bro, let's execute. You know, so go that extra mile. That like, nah, this ain't enough. Like, how do I make a genuine, real, long-lasting connection with you? How am I going to talk to you outside of this? How am I going to link with you? How are we going to continuously make, you know, this engine keep firing when this little event is over? The event is just a moment, but the moment brought us together. Let's stay together. Why are we waiting as soon as, you know, so I would just say go that extra mile. And I think like another just piece of advice, I don't know if it's something I would give, or I don't feel like anybody told me this, but I feel like somebody should have. And it goes into like entertainment, like not entertainment, but entrepreneurship. Like, be a master, or like, you're going to be successful being an entrepreneur once you've mastered every version of failure that you can. Like, you have small failures that are like, damn, that didn't work out for me, but it didn't really change my day. All my bills still paid. I'm still cool. And then you got the list all the way down to like these massive failures that feel crushing. Like, yo, I'm crushed. I am off it. I'm about to either check out or something. I don't have any money. I don't have any resources. I feel like, you know, the world is against me. Everybody sees my failure. It's loud. And I don't know which way to go anymore. And maybe my reputation is tarnished. I don't know how to turn this around. It's like, yo, from the smallest failure to the largest one and everything in between, you're gonna have to be a master of all those, bro. Because when it comes to life and relying on yourself and depending on yourself, which entrepreneurship is, you're gonna feel all of those, bro. Everyone, from the smallest one to the biggest one. So just be a master of like burpees, bro. Every time you fall, get up and be like, man, I'm not gonna let this break me. So get to it. Experience the smallest to the most massive failures, man. Just understand that like every single one is another chip, another notch on your belt. And then when you get to that last crushing failure and you're like, damn, I survived that, all the rest of this shit becomes easy. All of it, you become desensitized to the violence and the malice of entrepreneurship. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm jumping into these rooms, talking to these people, getting these deals, selling my shit, shameless plugs all over the place. I don't care. I'm leaving.
Yeah,
facts. Get better at it.
I love that. That leads me to my next question. I'm going to start with Brianna. What's your relationship with failure as an entrepreneur? I know some people laugh things off. Some people really like reconsider entrepreneurship. Other people just, you know, need a day or two. how do you react when in your entrepreneurship things don't go as planned?
Okay, I'm good.
My baby want to speak. There we go.
Right? What she get to say?
Look, look. Okay, baby, I'm coming. She ain't the boss of me. She might be.
I'm saying it too loud.
She might be. My relationship with failure. My relationship with failure is parallel to the relationship I have with my daughter. Here's why I say that. I love my daughter, and she gets on my nerves. And she is my biggest, like, she's my biggest critic. She's my biggest teacher. She is my master. And when I say she's my master, meaning she's my master teacher, every day I'm learning from her. I learn from her. And so that's how I view failure. I love failure. Why we need it. You know, we've been taught that there's this like mentality that it's like you are in the middle, success is like in the front and failure's in the back, when that's not the case. Is you a whole bunch of failure and then success is literally like 2 centimeters after that. That is what failure looks like. That's what success look like. And so, yes, I love failure. And guess what? Failing really gets on my nerves. It like I get upset. Just like you would get upset with your children, I get upset with the fact that I fail. And guess what? Failure is my master. It teaches me everything I need to know. It teaches me a lot about myself, like my daughter teaches me about myself. And every single day I learn something new. So when I learn those new things, I become more aware of the things that I learned yesterday. The same thing with failure. Every time I fail, I learn something new. So now I'm aware of what that looks like when it comes across. And like King Hoodie hit it on the head. Like mastering failure, mastering all forms and all types of failures from the smallest to the largest, that's gold, brother. That's gold. That is gold. And so that's my relationship with failure. Your kids gonna get on your nerves. So is failure. But guess what? They're your master. They're your biggest teacher. That's it.
Christina, how do you deal with losses? What's your relationship?
With losses, like losses in my
No, in your entrepreneurship, like when you say you're going in for a big deal or a big meeting and you fumble a bag that really meant something to you, you prepared for it all night, but
so honestly, I just stay as optimistic as possible, but I fail every single day. I fail every single day. And I just try my best not to, like, it depends on you. So you could look at failure as, oh, it defeated me. Let me not get out of bed. Let me not eat today. Let me not, clock in for my business today. You could look at it that way, or you could be optimistic and say, well, that was supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to get that deal. I wasn't supposed to get that check, or that client wasn't for me. That client was for the next business. And so you could look at it optimistically, which is what I choose to do, and another thing is like, when I get overwhelmed or when I feel like I'm failing, I just give myself a pep talk because I need it. Because, I don't want to be overwhelmed, and I don't want to listen to the self-limiting, thoughts and stuff like, oh, you should have closed that deal, or, oh, you should have did this, you should have did that, and, dwelling in the past and everything like that. So honestly, like, I'm not perfect. My business is not perfect. And so I fail every single day, but I don't allow it to defeat me, and I don't stay down. I get up, dust off my shoulders, and on to the next thing, the next deal, the next client, the next this, the next that. What else I got on my list? That's how I look at it. I just try to look at the glass full and not empty, right? Half full, not empty. That's how I see things.
Love that. Lamont?
So when it comes to failing, I'm very big on having disciplines to fall back on, right? Because even though you're not feeling so hot in the moment, something doesn't go your way. As an entrepreneur, there has to be some things that you have to do no matter what, just to keep the business moving forward. It could be as simple as just continuing to talk to people. So just getting back to your disciplines and not stewing in failure. You might need a minute to reset. You might need a minute to realign, and that's normal. But don't let that minute turn into a month, right? You don't let that minute turn into stagnation, like Christina mentioned. So just having those disciplines and knowing, like, okay, that door closed. What else do we need to be doing, right? Or who else do I need to talk to get my agenda pushed forward? I can tell you this: my entrepreneurship journey also allowed me to revisit my faith relationship. Knowing that, God's working things out behind the scenes, bringing the right people into my presence, putting me in places where I'm supposed to be. Like this podcast here came into my life 20 minutes prior to started. I'm super grateful for you guys to be in my life for now and forever. But all jokes aside, 2 days ago, I'm in a meeting. We're helping churches implement financial systems. Lo and behold, I didn't know pastors were dying broke. So I'm on a Zoom with a pastor, and he's like a beautiful human being, tremendous experience, and he needs to make more income. The pastor, my pastor business partner that we're doing this initiative with, says, "Hey, you need to start a podcast. People need to hear from you, Bishop." And the day after, I meet a gentleman who helps people scale in podcasts, like in a whole nother event, a whole nother spectrum. And now here I am on a podcast. So you can't tell me that's not divine alignment. You know what I mean?
Come on, somebody.
That's divine alignment. And that's really something entrepreneurship will put into you, is that faith component. You have to believe that everything happens for you and not to you. And that's how you really, failure, you can really move forward from it quicker. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt, but you should be timing yourself like, hey, am I stewing on this too long? Because as long as you wake up, you still got something you could do about it, I'm a firm believer on that as well. If it didn't take you out, you still got another chance to swing the bat, right? And another thing is progress over perfection. A lot of my mentors downloaded that into my brain, where it's like even a step is a step, man, and no step is small when it comes to progress. Unlike what they teach us in the formal education system, where it's like pass or fail, and you suck if you're on the other spectrum, right?
Yep.
It's not about that. It's about growing, and the only way you grow is through some type of pain. You don't really grow when times are good. So it's a real perspective change, but you won't even know it. You won't even know how to apply it until you go through some stuff. But you got to expose yourself. Like my brother Leonardo said, you got to expose yourself to doing the actions and get hit, like Brianna said, and then like, oh, I'm still up. What do we learn from that? I'm working on my 8-year-old now. What do we learn from that? Instead of saying I didn't do well, what do we learn from that? And if you ask yourself the right questions, your brain will shift into appreciating all types of experiences.
That's powerful. Leonardo.
Yes.
Failure.
Absolutely. And kind of going off what Lamont had just said, just in regards to progress and not perfection, right? I think it's important for us to understand that failure isn't final. We act like, well, if I try this and it doesn't work, like, you're not falling out of 50,000 feet in the sky. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to immediately die, right? And sometimes in the back of our brain, we've created that subconscious truth, and that's not it. If you fall, get up and try again. You know what I mean? We know about the reason why you're able to see this light on this chocolate skin, you feel me, right now, is because of Thomas Edison, you feel me? And the fact that he was 1,000 times in. So if it was 100 times, it didn't work. And just 100 times, it took us 12 years to get into the music industry. You're talking about I'm dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars in, and it kept not going right? But you after a while, you start realizing that I guess failure and fear are like Siamese twins, right? And at this point, I'm not scared of either one of them. and you realize that it's also like the wind, kind of like when you're on the water, right? And so some people complain that the wind is blowing, but other people will build a sail. And so let the wind come because it's going to propel me, right? Let that fear come because it's going to propel me, right? To do better. And so that's my relationship with it. I now realize 20 years later with speaking that fear is going to be at all my events. He's been at more recitals than any of my parents. And so I always save a front row seat for him. I expect him to be there. Walk up, yo, what's up? And you take it and you master that, right? And you use that to propel you. So that's my thing with failure. And then probably the last thing is, Jay-Z talks about in that song Beach Chair, he's like, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not trying. Every day, hit every wave like I'm Hawaiian. It's like, man, carpe diem, man. Like I'm a swing 1,000 times. You know what I mean? Like we know Babe Ruth, he's known for getting the most home runs, but a lot of people don't realize is that he also had the most strikeouts. But if I get up to this plate, I'm gonna swing. We gonna swing, So that's all I encourage everybody to do: swing.
Wow. King Hoodie, I know that you tailed in on the failure. This was just like a random question based on your last response, but how is your relationship with failure?
Extraordinary, man. Failure lets you know exactly where you need to go, and fear is also like you said. Like I really like what you said about it being Siamese twins, man, because it's true. Like we're paralyzed by both of them. We're afraid of fear, we're afraid of what we're afraid of, and we're afraid of the fact that we're afraid of it. And then we're also just afraid of failure. Like, I can't fail because that might take me out. It might be it for me. I might just die in one of these like meager, terrible stories. Failure, man, failure is important for every single step that you have in life. It's gonna appear itself. You feel me? I think the only person that really loses in anything is the person that's either petrified by failure or the person that expects it not to happen, gets hit by it, and then leaves. Gets gun shy. He falls off the horse, say, I ain't messing with horses ever again, and then leaves.
Yep.
I read a book like a while ago, a long time ago, I can't remember what it was, but it spoke about something called the law of favorability. And it was like, the law of favorability, I think, and I might be butchering this, somebody might be way smarter than me, but it's like, have you ever went to go try something, you did it, you were really good at it the first time, and then every other time after that, you were terrible at it? It's like, okay, cool. What that was the universe letting you know you have the capacity of being good at this thing, but now you have to develop the skills. But you have the capacity to be good at it. First time you went golfing, I got a hole in one. Damn, I'm a pro. I might as well Tiger Woods it. And then every other time you do it, it's like, bro, I'm throwing it into the woods, in the sand, in the water. Like, this is crazy. But nah, they just let you know you have the capacity. You were able to hit it in one try, but now you just got to develop the skills. And I like what Lamont was saying about like in failure, have those skills to fall back on. I was in the gym one time with this guy, and he was just telling me, I don't know how we got to talking, but he was apparently in the military in Africa, and he told me about he was shot down in a helicopter 2 times. And I was like, bruh, you don't look, destroyed. You look, he looked very normal. He didn't look like the miracle man. Like, I don't know if you know that guy, he survived the plane crash. He looked crazy. But this guy looked real normal. Like, you got shot down in a helicopter. I'm like, how did you, what goes through your mind? Bro, you got shot down twice. He said, man, nah. He said, well, when you get shot down, the first thing that you revert to is your training. Just go right back into your training. We just ran through our protocols, me and my co-pilot, and we were able to, land properly. And I'm like, damn, bro, like a helicopter's not a plane. Like, they can't glide. When something messes up, it goes straight down. So the fact that guy's training, like in the emergency, he just reverted to his training. Okay, what do they teach us to do when this happens? They ran through it, and he survived, not once, but twice. So I'm like, yeah, what Lamont said is accurate, bro. When you get confronted with that beast, revert back to your training. And I really like what Lamont said about like getting closer with, the creator, or like, this entrepreneurial journey will test your faith.
Man, what?
You know what I'm saying? What do you really, you believe in you, but then you got smacked just now. Or you believe in you, but you just let you down. Or you believe in you, but nobody else does. Like, how do you even survive that? It's like, man, eventually you're gonna have to believe something bigger than you that put you there. And then you're like, okay, cool, well, I could work on this. If I know me and I know my limitations, but there's something bigger, there's a bigger power than me working at this thing that's helping me, because I wouldn't be so driven to it. It wouldn't wake me up or keep me up at night. So there's something bigger than me. Like, I definitely, my religion or my connection to a higher power definitely got stronger, especially in recent times. Like, I've had to do things that I physically couldn't do, but I got them done. And I was like, man, if you help me with this, I'll make it. And then it came through. So I guess the journey at this point is like, when you back on the mountaintop, do you forget who helped you get there? You know what I'm saying? Because if you did, you get ready for the fall again. So Find it with that.
Okay, so everybody gave this really nice, positive, like response to failure. When I feel, I be stressing. I'm not gonna lie. If I miss a role or opportunity or an audition, I'm like, oh my God, my rent not gonna get paid. So my question is, when it comes to the mental state of you beautiful artists, entrepreneurs, like how is it easy or is it strategy for you to be this positive?
I'll answer. So I think it's how you train your mind, because what I personally do is, like, when negativity comes in or when I feel like pessimistic or anything like that, I block it. I'm like a ninja. I'm like, nope, don't even think like that. That's not gonna happen. And
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, I can't even think of anything right now, but whatever, like let's just say, like, I don't know, like you losing a deal or something like that, right? Like, no, don't even think about that. There's another deal that's on its way, it's coming tomorrow and all that stuff. I always just, whatever is currently happening, right? If you lose $10,000 today, I'm going to say the opposite. So I'm going to say $10,000 is on its way tomorrow. I'm having a new client tomorrow. And
Yay, yes, Lord.
Right, you just have to train yourself to, either be positive or be optimistic or just stay in that place or space. Because if you allow those thoughts to creep in, if you allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself, if you allow yourself to dwell in what didn't go right, you're going to stay in that place for a while. And then nothing's going to get done, because especially if you're an entrepreneur, if your business is depending on you, then, like I said, nothing's going to get done. So that's why I think that it's really important for you to have those pep talks with yourself, for you to just take that moment, take that breather, step away from, whatever it is, the phone, the laptop, the office, whatever it is, and just have that me time so that you can redirect those negative thoughts to positive thoughts.
I like that. And I believe that because I know that for sure when it comes to you, because I follow you on Instagram and you are journaling, or you used to journal like every single morning. I used to be like, oh my God, I got to get on it, because that's a form of like training your mind. And I don't know what it is that you're going through specifically in your entrepreneurship, but the fact that you journal these thoughts is all the more inspiring, because journaling to me is a form of releasing. So whatever it is that you wake up with in the morning because of whatever pressures that yesterday brought, you're releasing it and then you're starting your day. So Lamont, what does that training for a positive mindset look like for you? Is there anything specifically that you do? I know that Christina, you journal, and I know King Hoodie, you read books a lot. But what is it for you?
For me, obviously self-work is awesome. It's necessary in entrepreneurship, but my reasons usually help me snap into a different mindset, right? I think about all the ancestors that sacrificed for us to even be here. Like, I got a picture of my 97-year-old great grandmother constantly looking at me, man. Like, they were fighting just to come outside back then, and here we are on our comfort of our own home, just sharing our energy with each other. I also think of my upbringing, right? So I come from nothing, so we can only go up, right? I live in buildings with no hot water, no heat for 8 years. Drug addicts walking by them, going to school, trying to get out of my building. People dying in front of me, and I'm still here, right? So I know there's a bigger purpose for what I do as well, and that's really what matters to me. I've always lived my life on impact. Like I said, people sacrifice so that I could get to this age and do what I'm doing. What is our mark going to be here? And when you're in that moment where you're thinking that moment is bigger than you, you got to think about the real bigger picture. why it is you're doing what you're doing. Like somebody's out there that needs you to call them, right? Just like 25 people told you no that day, there's one person like, please, somebody help me, and it'd be you. And then when you get in the presence of that person, you're like, oh, this is why I ate all that crap to get here, you know. And then a simple shut up, like to yourself, right? So policing your thoughts, a big deal. Like the same way you have a negative thought, you can tell yourself, shut up, that's not serving me. So there was a book that I read called The Positivity Quotient. It's an Indian fellow who wrote it, but they even give you an exam about examining what percentage of your thoughts are positive and negative. I failed it when I first took it, but it also gave you some action steps on when you're in that state. All you got to do is ask yourself a question: is that thought serving you?
Right.
Is that thought serving you? And if you really think about it, you say no, then put a thought that does. And it usually when you have a bigger purpose in front of you, you can tie that together. So those are the small things I've done, you know, over time, and it's a muscle, right? It's a muscle. It's never going to be perfect, but constantly being aware of it is key, because sometimes people aren't even aware that they're in a negative state. And that becomes their norm. We need to be policing our thoughts. Like, is this thought serving me or is it not? And then what you need to do out of that to get out of that. So it's an exercise, really. You never get like great at it. We're human. And we have to have grace on ourselves as well. I add that. With social media and all these images and everybody's only showing the good, like you feel like you're not doing well when you see people vacationing in luxury vehicles. You start second guessing yourself. Have grace on yourself to know that you're in progress, man. Like we're all in progress. It's an ongoing piece of work. It's never a finished result, if that makes sense.
That's good. Okay, Leonardo, how do you train positivity in your entrepreneurship to like keep that steady state of mental kindness to yourself?
Yeah. Well, again, great question. The biggest thing for me, especially waking up, is second my eyes open. I'm like, thank you, God. You know what I mean? Like I've been homeless before. I'd lost everything, right? I could pull up my sleeve. You can see holes from the needles in the arm from taking plasma for over and over and over, right? And so just to like wake up where I am now and be able to see the ocean from my bed and like just my fingers like work, simple things like quote unquote simple things like that, right? The fact that when we blink, like we're seeing out of our eye, 170 million microscopic connections in one human eye. If one out of that 170 million was connected incorrectly, the damage can range from color blindness all the way to complete blindness. I'm glad my eyes still work today because they don't have to. You know what I mean? Like, man, like I just the ability to do that. Like I got a friend who was on the Ellen show a little while ago. He was in a football game, just a practice, snapped his neck, 6'3", 240 pounds, you know what I mean? He didn't walk for 15 years, right? Like, so just that ability I'm super grateful for, right? And then going into words of affirmation, it's not on a cocky level, but this is where like Godfins comes in, you know what I mean? Hey, I am going to be a New York Times bestseller. Hey, my clothing line is the biggest in the world. Why not? Right? Because it's so crazy how our minds can digress and so easily think about the negative, right? Why would that work for you? And why this? And why this? And who do you think you are, right? When's the last time you speak nice to yourself? Because faith comes by hearing. And that's either hearing positivity or negativity. And it also comes from hearing even yourself. So you got to be really careful with the way that you talk to yourself. And so it's like you can't be giving gratitude and being positive and negative at the same time. Right. And so the second a negative thought comes up, like Christina and Lamont had mentioned, like I'm policing right away. Oh, yeah. But I'm instantly speaking out loud because that like nullifies it. Not even, silent thoughts. No, yeah. You might think I'm a crazy person from the side, but I'm going to speak it out loud. You know what I mean? To stop that negative thought and be like, no, I am great. This book is going to work. Oh, it's going to be a bestseller. People are going to love the clothes around the world. And that's what I've got to keep doing all throughout the day till I fall asleep because it's a battle, for your mind. So that's how I stay positive.
King Hoodie, what does that training look like for
What
you?
does what look like?
The training to keep positivity in your mental state on your entrepreneurship journey. What does that look like for you? What are the things that you do?
It's very intentional for me. It's very much so like a conscious thing that I do. I brainwash myself though, like completely. I'll go to sleep listening to something that I trust. Like I'll go to sleep playing something like, Think and Grow Rich or The Richest Man in Babylon, or just something that I trust, or even just affirmations. Like I'll go to sleep because anything that's getting programmed to me subconsciously, I still want to be in control of it. But other than that, it's a very conscious thing for me, man, because like I'll dive into a bunch of different books or a bunch of different speakers or podcasts or audio books that are like just drowning my subconscious mind with it. I mean, I think it goes back to what Lamont was saying, like when you're confronted with failure, it's a good thing to go back to your skills. But I think when you're confronted with anything, that you may not necessarily like, whether you want to or not, you're going to revert to something. You know what I'm saying? Your mind is going to snap, like wherever the self-preservation cortex of your brain is going to respond to whatever, is sent your way in any kind of manner that you were already taught. Like if your mama told you, to do things in a certain kind of way, like, oh, well, don't put your salt in this way or put it like that, or any kind of superstitious thing, then anytime you're confronted with something, you're going to revert to what your mother said or this person said or that person said. So again, it goes back to the re-engineering of yourself and the re-engineering of your mind. And for me, it's just replacing anything that's negative to something that's positive. A friend of mine, I remember I used to have this thing that I used to say to people whenever people were like, yo, how you doing? I used to be like, man, I'm trying to get like you. And that was just always something that just made people smile. I put a smile on their face. But one friend of mine, he checked me. He was like, yo, don't try, bro. We don't try at anything. Never try anything in your life. You do it or you don't do it. Do it, complete it. If you're trying, you're lying. If you're trying, you're dying. He gave me all this whole speech. He was like, man, remove that from your vocabulary. And I thought that was the craziest thing I ever heard. Like, what do you mean remove it from my vocabulary? He was like, yo, remove it. And I was able to. Like now, even when I see the letters TRY, the first thing that comes into my mind is attempt. I won't say the word try anymore. Even if I'm reading it, even if someone else wrote it, I just won't say it. I just said it, but just as an example. But you can absolutely have that much control over, your vocabulary. You can remove anything out. And the same thing, like your mind as a whole. I like to look at my mind like a Walmart cart. Like let's say you go to Walmart with your entire family, right? If you got kids with you and aunties and uncles and all that, and you're going through every aisle with them, by the time you get to the checkout, there's going to be a bunch of stuff in your cart that you didn't necessarily choose. Everybody got something they want to add to you. You know what I'm saying? This kid put candy, this person put panties, this person put some Avon stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole bunch of stuff in here that may not necessarily be yours. But before you check out, make sure you take an appraisal of what's in your cart. You know what I'm saying? And that's like a double entendre, a bar, because before you leave this life, make sure you check an appraisal. Make sure you take an appraisal of what's in your cart, bro. Take anything that doesn't serve you, like Lamont was saying, out, bro. Like that don't serve me. My coach told me that. My ex-girlfriend told me that. My stepfather told me that. My current girl told me that. And you could take all these things out and you could walk out and check out with a cart that you're comfortable with. You're comfortable paying the price on it because you're going to have to pay the price regardless. And the last thing I want to do is pay the price for somebody else's fear. Or the last thing I want to do is pay the price for somebody else's insecurity. Or the last thing I want to do is pay the price for somebody else's belief system on what life is. Yo, you can't do that. Life is set up like this. Your life, nah, you living in a fairy tale. But I got the results that I want. Yeah, but it's not real. It's not sustainable. How can you say that when I got the results that I want? You don't got the results you want. Why would I listen to you? You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z said something real rude on his first album. He was like, why would I listen to you? You broke. And I was like, oh, he's not wrong. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to try to tell him how to spend his money, he has no right listening to you if you don't have a fraction of what he has. So I think it's important for us to take an appraisal of like ourselves and our mind and just pull out anything that don't belong there. You can definitely take words out of your speech patterns. You can take it out of your vocabulary. You can remove anything that doesn't serve you straight out, and you can fill it in with something. You got to transmute it. You got to turn whatever that is into something better. Transmute it. You know what I'm saying? Just transmute it, turn it into something different. It's gonna cost the same amount at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So just change it, switch it up.
Brianna, what does the training for you look like in maintaining your mental positivity?
3 things. The first one is it is strategy. You said it at the beginning. Is it a strategy? It is. It's absolutely a strategy, because anger, depression, anxiety, loneliness, feeling like you failed, that's not privy to a certain individual. It's privy to all of us. So when it comes, we have to re-engineer, gotta brainwash, right? We have to trick ourselves to being positive even when we are feeling sad or when we are down or out. Second thing is having a space to talk to someone. It's I don't want to say your mentor, because sometimes your mentor is not always the individual that you can just kind of word vomit on. Half the time that they're busy with their business, but you got to have someone or a space, a community of people that you can go to and talk to. Sometimes talking to yourself don't work. Sometimes when you're in it, you're so in it, like you can't talk yourself out. Sometimes you gotta get God's word from somewhere else. So that's why I say you gotta have a space or someone to talk to. And then my last thing is being aware of what you're stepping into. And this download came to me maybe a little over a month and a half ago. 2 months ago, excuse me, in October, I said that this was the last year I was going to be broke. I said that. After I said that, I was hit with like, oh, so are you sure? Okay, let's see now. Boop, depression, boop, anxiety, boop, suicidal thoughts, boop, no money, boop, you got fired from your job. Boop. I mean, do you want it? And that's when we have to come within ourselves and say, well, dang, this is the price that I need to pay. I said I wanted this. Now, how bad do I want it?
Thanks.
And that is the thought. Like, because I remember the first 2 times where I was so, like, I just wanted to end it. I was so just overwhelmed, like trying to work and have my daughter with me the whole entire day because she was sick with pneumonia. It was just feeling lonely, feeling like I didn't have anybody, feeling like I was left alone, just so overwhelmed. And then when the download hit, or when I had the epiphany, well, Brianna, you said that you wanted financial freedom, didn't you? And once I peaked, like once I recognized that I said what I said, now it's time to put on my big girl pants. I gotta take these blows. There's no way I'm gonna be Brianna 2.0. There's no way I can even operate as a multimillionaire the first multimillionaire in my family in the same mindset, being the same person that I am right now. Because if that was the case, I'd be there, and it's not.
Thanks.
So I had to realize that I said I wanted to win. So now it's time to really go through that process. And this was one of the biggest keys about this mental health thing. Because life is going to come at you. It's going to test you. It's going to do it. And so once I understood that, now I understood that, hey, I'm getting close now. I'm getting close. Something happening. Because failure is not going to come. Life is not going to hit you if it ain't something that's on the other side of that. It's not going to do that. It's going to leave you alone. Trust me. It's going to leave you alone. But once I realized that is what also helped me really kind of just deal with those feelings and those thoughts in a much more mature way, understanding what was happening and that it wasn't happening to me. Like it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. This is actually letting me know, like you said, King Hoodie, this is letting me know right now that what I want is right there. And if I stop now, I'll never get it. So those are really like my 3 key things to help me stay positive in adversity.
I did have one last question, but that just sparked my curiosity. And this doesn't have to be a long response, but just by like a show of hands, was mental health taught in you guys' home? Or is that something that you learned on your own and whatnot? I know growing up in Miami, we rank people. I'm one girl of 4 kids, and I grew up around brothers, and to this day, the way that they use their language is like very Miami.
It's very Miami. It's vulgar. It's very Miami. It's you fat, you ugly, you this, you that. And it don't mean like as it's not as harmful as it sounds, but that could be because I've grown accustomed to it. And so it just rolls off me like sweat. But I was just curious, like, what was any of you all like raised knowing or understanding the value of mental health and how to navigate it when you get into certain hiccups in life?
So I'll go. Mental health was not really talked about in my family too much. I heard the words like depression, sad, like the feelings and stuff like that. But like my parents didn't teach us that it's okay to see a therapist, that it's okay to talk to somebody and express your feelings and your emotions. And so I will be absolutely transparent. And Brianna, thank you so much for being transparent with us, because this is a safe space. So like me, the first time that I went to a counselor, I was a teenager, let me see. And I did it by myself. So I didn't tell my parents, but I was in a domestic relationship. And so my high school boyfriend, he was putting hands on me. And so I didn't tell my parents. I didn't want nobody to know. I was ashamed. And my teacher, my teacher in the high school, she was very transparent with us. And she told us I came from a domestic, relationship, and now I counsel, couples and stuff like that. So if anybody needs somebody to talk to, and I volunteered, and I was like, I need somebody to talk to. And so I spoke to her and I let everything out or whatever. And I had invited my boyfriend at that time. I was like, we need to speak to somebody because we can't be fighting each other like this. And so that was my first time, seeking some type of help or just basically offloading all of this stuff that was bottled in. And then, like Brianna too, I had thoughts too of not, okay, so I'll be transparent. And once I got to college, there was a lot going on. And so I had got to college, and this same domestic partner that I was with, I ended up getting pregnant by him. And so my parents said, hell no. And they was like this, they was like, bring your ass back down here. We're going to go to the clinic and fix that. And so at first I was resisting, and I was a teenager, right? 18, 19 years old. And so I said, okay, whatever, I'll let my parents make the decision. And they did. And so they had me terminate the pregnancy. And I remember losing it, like lost it completely. Like I knew now at that time what depression was. I knew now what not wanting to live because I felt like a killer. And it was horrible. And I just couldn't hold. And so my parents, they did what they did. And then they set me back on my jolly way, not even thinking like, this is traumatic. Is she okay? Nothing. They just set me back to college. And so I was like, I'm about to hurt myself if I don't go talk to somebody, because I can't feel like this. I can't feel like a murderer. And so I went, thank God, my college had mental health. They had free therapists and all of that stuff that you need for free. And I went and talked to somebody, and me and this lady, the therapist, we was talking for weeks, you guys. It took a while. But like I said, teenager, that was my first experience. And so now I know it's okay to talk to therapists and counselors. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay to get guidance. It's okay to address those feelings, emotions, thoughts that you have. Is totally okay. Get the help that you need, because you can't keep it in. It's dangerous. It's completely dangerous to do that. And so this is something, like I said, mother of three, this is something that I want to instill in my kids, because my parents didn't instill it in me. So I want them to be okay with visiting the therapist, okay with talking to a counselor, talking to their coach, their guidance counselor, whoever. I want to make it a norm, because for me, it wasn't a norm. It was taboo. It was something crazy. It was like, okay,
Yep.
if you depressed, you going to the crazy house, they're gonna lock you up, kind of thing. And so I don't want to do that for my kids. Right now, they're young, 3, 4. But once they get to that age, like my oldest, he's 10. So I feel like he's at that point, right? He's like in 5th grade. He's at that point where I'm like, okay, we're going to go, talk to somebody. I'm not sure what's going on, in elementary school, middle school, whatever. But I'm going to make it a norm in my household. And I think that is so vitally important, because if you keep it all bottled in, and then, and then you do decide to, hurt yourself in any kind of way, like, we don't know. We don't know. And so, I feel like it's an important thing. I forgot where I was going with this, guys, but thank you for letting me. Thank
No,
you.
the question was
No, that sounds powerful.
thank you. Thank you.
For real.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like we could be transparent on here, because we all go through it. I feel like, it's a part of human life. I feel like it's a part of, of this journey that we're going through.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
That's real talk right there, right? Like real human being progressions and experiences. I don't really knock our parents a lot. Believe it, it's crazy for me to say it, but they grew up in a different time. We are now in the information era. There's a tremendous amount of attention to this area, so the resources are here. I'm not saying the resources might not have been there during their time, but I know it's just a different mindset. Like my parents are, close to 70 years of age. They were around for the civil rights movement. Like it was kind of like issues, I won't say bigger issues, but it was like just this like survival type mode back then, right? So they did the best of what they could, but like to your point, Christina, it's our time to push the narrative to another level when it comes to mental health and not being afraid to speak up about what's going on. If it's easy for people to put all these things out there in the world about things that aren't relevant, like topics like this should be, at the forefront. But yeah, professional help, any type of support that a person can use, I believe, should be leveraged when it's bigger than your capacity. You're not able to deal with it. You shouldn't be embarrassed about that. But I just want to say thank you for sharing your experience with us. Personally, I'm big on getting back to the creator, right? Like I double down on my faith. You have no idea. Like no man can help me when I'm not feeling hot. I'm sorry. And that's how big my issues are sometimes. Like I can't even relate to another human being. So I double down on my scripture, and I'm like, these words are real to me, and it's crazy. I could throw the book in the air and just catch it, and whatever I read and open at that moment just hits me and my spirit. So I'm a strong believer that that's also a route for people who are, not able to step outside and get the help from other people that they might necessarily need to make sure that they're heading in the right direction. Because we all go through it, man. It's not like it's not individual to certain people. We experience life, and our experiences before that lead us to the decisions that we're making now. So it leads me back to just having grace on yourself, man. Like start saying you love yourself. Find a way to love yourself to your imperfections aren't even imperfect anymore. All imperfections are perfect at the end of the day. So I just want everybody to know that it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to feel different. But you got to find out what works for you. Because I'll tell you, for me, I haven't met a human being yet that could cheer me up when I'm not feeling so hot. That's real talk.
I love that. Thank you guys for your time this evening. It is about to be 9:00 on the East Coast, but I will leave you all with this last question to answer, because I know that there are a lot of people on right now, whether they're entrepreneurs or just came in to tune into the mental health aspect of this conversation. And feel free. I guess we'll start with Musa, actually. The last question would be, what is something that you would advise this audience of people with regards to maintaining a sane or well-balanced mental health journey and pursuing or juggling entrepreneurship?
That's a really good question. In regards to staying sane, I think it really does come down to that gratitude. I know that was the answer for the last one, but it is just all throughout. That's the only thing that sustains me. That's the only thing that keeps me balanced throughout that, is because you're going to be. It's very rare that you're going to start entrepreneurship and get everything right. And so if you're already expecting to be getting punched in the face, like this attitude of gratitude helps you brace yourself for whatever comes. The fact that you're ready for the hits, and that's what literally keeps me balanced and optimistic throughout that time. So I advise people to speak kindly to yourself out loud. Start the day with it. Like, that's what sets the mood for your whole day. Your days turn into weeks. Your weeks turn into months. Your months turn into these 12 possible years that you're trying to break into your industry and be who you're meant to be. So yeah, and understanding why, and keep that at the forefront of, because you're going to have hard days. So you need to understand why you're doing it. So.
Thank you. King Hoodie?
Question was what again? Sorry.
Oh my goodness. I know it's come on, let's
I be getting caught up that I was listening to him.
The last one. Wasn't it you said take the last mile?
I was reading. Shout out Amaris. I think that's a really cool comment. Anybody's watching the comment. You know what I'm saying? I would like to read hers out loud. I'm currently going through a depressive episode, and today has been a blessing. I needed all of this today. I woke up out of my sleep and made this call after saying I wasn't going to join today. God put me here today. Shout out to you, Amaris. That's what's up.
Let's go.
Amen. Whoa.
Amaris, we love you.
All love.
The question may actually be answered for Amaris. The question was, how do you maintain a sane mental state while juggling entrepreneurship?
Oh man, I'll go to Lamont.
What's the advice that you would give to someone on this Zoom call?
I would go the Lamont route for sure, man. When you're not feeling yourself, definitely, I think tapping in with the Creator, tapping in with God, and that means different things to different. You know what I'm saying?
Different people.
Right. I don't think there's no one right way to get it. So don't take that as meaning I gotta leave what I know and go this way. No, not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Just tap in. I think everybody should know what tapping in just means. And yeah, that's what I would definitely recommend to somebody, man. Like it's not easy. Prepare for the hits, prepare for the blows. Like every time I go through stuff, I always love or whenever I'm looking for motivation, inspiration, whenever I hear someone who's a million times more successful than me and talk about failure and becoming comfortable with failure, it always just kind of feel like it just lifts a burden off me. Like, damn, okay, cool. Because I was going through it, feeling like I wasn't in the right place, right time, doing the right things, thinking the right things. I was judging myself real hard on myself. When I hear about these things that other people have gone through, it just kind of lifts that weight off. Like, damn, you're right. Everybody goes through failure. You have time to get it right. You will get it right. Stay on track. You're good. Give yourself grace. You know what I'm saying? And relax, man. Understand this is your journey. You're going through it. And take those licks with a smile on your face. You know what I'm saying? Because you only get beat up when you're in the fight. You don't get beat up in the stands. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You in the fight, you on the court, you on the field, you getting it right, man. Get those inch by inch. So I would just say, man, it's not going to be easy for anybody. Whenever you're not feeling yourself, understand, it's tough for everybody. Like, I really respect what Leonardo was saying about fear, bro. Like, yo, you got to be fearless every day. Fear don't go away. You know? Get comfortable with it, man. Love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and face your fears. And then there's this like jolt of just incredible energy on the other side of fear. After you do something you're terrified of, there's this ocean of good feeling, and that's what you want to get to. And that ocean of good feeling comes with progress, pride in yourself, happiness, joy, all these different things that'll shift your whole emotion like that. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, man, like, do it under any and every circumstance. You know what you got to do it. Tap in with the Creator. And man, brace yourself, bro, and go there, bro. Brace yourself. Don't get paralyzed. Go there.
Brianna?
The question was
You know what? I know it's getting hard.
You did this to
I'll
me.
repeat it. What?
Nah, I'm just tapped. Like I'm so zoned in. Like I got 3 pages of notes.
Ooh.
The more notes you take, the more money you make. What are we talking
Come
about
on,
here?
come
Just
on,
because
come
I'm
on
here
now.
as a panelist,
Take
that don't
that,
mean
take
I ain't
that.
come here to learn.
Ooh,
What are we
students.
talking about?
Let's go.
So I'm for real zoned in.
Well, first and foremost, if you can upload the notes, that'll be
absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, just let me know where. Hopefully, you guys can read my handwriting. It's kind of fast, but it's pretty organized.
You know about to steal the notes. You know about to steal.
Go and type that out. Go ahead there.
Go ahead and type that out.
Go ahead there.
out, send it to us fax it, email.
Yeah.
We'll drop all of that in the chat. But
I got you. But yeah,
the question is, what advice would you give the people on this specific Zoom call, who are either tapped in for entrepreneurship tips or mental health tips to I guess the advice would be like how to maintain the sanity of your mental health while juggling entrepreneurship.
So number one, there have been times where I've lost it, and I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive myself for losing it. So guess what, guys? You're gonna lose it too. You're gonna lose it too. Seriously. And what I'm learning how to do is allow the initial emotion to come. I feel it and I let it go. I don't let it fester. Because that's what typically happens. Like when I have my blow ups or blowouts, especially like after I have my daughter, like that PPD hit me hard. My mama here, she'll tell you. And what is helping me, because I don't have it together, I'm sorry. I don't have it together. And what is helping me now is allowing whatever emotion I'm feeling to come and let it go. Or come, I express outwardly what I'm feeling, and then I just release it. I relinquish it. I don't try to suppress it anymore. And I can't suppress it anymore because what happens when pressure starts to build up? It blows. I've had too many situations where I've blown up, crying, all that good stuff. So to alleviate that from happening to you guys, allow those emotions to come, feel it, like cry if you need to cry, be mad if you're mad, and let it go. Talk to somebody, say, hey, I feel like someone that you obviously trust, right? I feel this way. And then boom. That's how I'm learning to deal. That's how I would advise anybody to deal with it. Don't try to force it away. It's gonna keep coming back. It's gonna come back even harder. It's not gonna leave you alone because the hurt is there. The loss is already incurred. The loss ain't gonna go away. You just gotta learn how to feel the loss and let it go. And come back and be like, well, I lost it, but guess what's coming? I'm gonna win tomorrow. My 10,000 coming back. Matter of fact, I'm getting 20 racks the next day. So that's what I would recommend anybody, and to not feel ashamed of your blow-ups. Just don't let them happen too often. That's it.
Lamont.
For me, I would say, personally, I have what's called protect my spirit mentality, right? I protect my spirit. I'm aware of my spirit, and my spirit is my compass, right? So when I'm not feeling hot, I know that my programming is messed up. What do I mean? I'll go on a detox from social media. I do an assessment of people in my life that are not pouring into me or just taking withdrawals, right? So you got relationships that just take, they don't give. Cable is a wrap. I'm on YouTube all day. Like I'm really watching my entertainment and education quotient, right? So if you're not looking at those metrics, how much of your life are you drifting, or how much of your life are you feeding yourself? Like all of those things realign me and protect me from having, what they call bad days. I try not to have them. And I know I got things to go to when I'm in that state that I'm not so hot, right? I'm like, oh, so this recently I felt like I was a little fuzzy. So I shut down Instagram and Facebook. I felt like I was just taking on everybody's problems, which is programming. You know what I mean? I started watching Game of Thrones, and I wasn't so positive. I was like, I can't watch 3 episodes of this. I'm about to rip somebody's head off for no damn reason. So, strategically watching it, not binge watching. We're human, right? But it's all protecting your spirit, man. Like, God gave us everything we need to be successful. Before this era, people were hunter-gatherers, man. You're talking about hunt, eat, don't hunt, don't eat. That's where we came from. Now we got everything push a button. We're not exercising. So that's another thing. I'm making it my business to go and physically develop myself, right? I don't care if it's 30 minutes on a Stairmaster, run right back to the office to get busy. We got to take care of like all the things that we're consuming, and being very mindful of our energy. And the more awareness you have towards that, you can shift in the middle of that storm. Because believe me, there's nothing bigger than you waking up the next day. Like I always said, if it didn't take you out that day and you woke up, that means you got another shot. You can do something about it. And like I said before, people passed away for us to have the freedoms that we have today. There's no area in our life that if we need improvement, you can get better at. You can get better. Like I felt like I was type negative. So I said, let me see if there's something about positivity. And the book is called Positivity Intelligence, the same way there's emotional intelligence. That book I read like every 90 days. Emotional Intelligence 3.0. It tells you exactly what emotions transpire in a human being and action steps on how to reverse them. So you can get educated in any area of your life that you want to do better and then apply it. Like my brother Leonardo said, and even King mentioned, you gotta keep moving, man. Like nothing stagnates you unless your clock expires.
I love that. That's such a really good reminder. So powerful. Christina, would you like to close us out?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to give like my final advice, I would say like what works for me, and you guys might want to try it, is meditation, like meditation and prayer. I do both of them in my morning routine. I got a whole like morning routine, which I feel like really is a big factor in my success and in my daily life. And I don't start any day without it. But prayer, right? You praying to God, you praying to our creator, and prayer is just so powerful. But you also need that silence as well, because then you put yourself in a position to where you can hear the creator. You can hear what you have to do. You can hear, how you're going to solve these problems, and the solutions that you need for whatever it is that you're going through, whatever trials, tribulations, failures, whatever it is that you're going through. You need that silence. You need to quiet your mind, quiet your environment. And so it's better to do it like first thing in the morning when your family is asleep, when your kids are asleep, when your wife, your husband, everybody is asleep, because you don't have those distractions, right? Like Lamont said, like, all of the negativity out there in the environment, you're not taking any of that stuff in. So that's why it's important to do it like first thing in the morning before you even touch your phone and start scrolling on social media and start looking at the news and seeing what's coming and what's not coming. That's just, I don't know, for me, it's just so important. And a lot of people, they don't know how to meditate, but it doesn't take much effort. All you got to do is just sit down in silence. That's it. Like no music, no sound, no nothing. And you can do it for 1 minute. Just try it, see, see what type of effect it has on you. See if you like it, see if there's something that you want to implement. And like I said, prayer, like those two things are just so vitally important for my day. And I feel like if you decide that that's something that you want to incorporate in your day, that it might or will help you. And then another thing that Lamont said was like protecting his spirit. Like that's something that I do. Like I am intentional about what I listen to because it has an impact on me. And so whatever I'm listening to, if it's, if it's negative news or if it's like, those documentaries and movies and all that stuff, like I don't watch scary movies because I don't want to see people get murdered in these movies. I just, that's not something that I want. And so I stopped watching scary movies like right before I went to high school. And then in high school, I started watching TV. And so I really don't know what's going on. Like I didn't know that the war, like the Ukraine war, I didn't know that there was even a war until 2 weeks later when my sister told me. So like that's how, but other people, they had that fear inside of them because they already knew that the war was going on. And me, it didn't faze me because I didn't watch the videos, the footage, the photos. I didn't see it on the news or anything like that. And my day-to-day operation was still going. And I was on, go mode, but I was on happy mode, positive mode, because I'm not worrying about a nuclear bomb coming my way. So I think that that's vitally important too. Like just, take inventory and audit what you see and what you listen to, because it really, really, really impacts you. Believe it or not, it impacts you. And it's like subliminal, like it's happening without us even knowing it. Right. So that's what I have for like my final advice. And now what I want to do is I just want to open up the floor for any questions. I see that Montez has a question. Hey, Montez, do you want to come off of mute or do you want me to read it in the chat?
No, I'm right here.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, I just tapped in the last 10 minutes. I was hoping to catch from the beginning, but I'm here. So now that I'm here, it's the now, which is all is well. Like basically the whole basis of what we talking about, all is well. The good, the bad, the so-called ugly. Keep it moving. If you're living in the now, so just like the victim mentality, whether it's slavery or whatever it is that happened to you personally in your life, it boiled down to what I'm going to use it for and what's happening now. Because not just because don't nobody care about you, it's the fact that what you going to do about it now. Because it don't matter, no matter what it was. And if you believe in God, all is well, these things that kind of is everything anyway, if it's a solution, why do you care about the problem? Why do you care about the problem? If it's a solution, why are you so focused on the problem? But because of mental illness, you've been convinced, or you allowed yourself to convince yourself, or somebody else to convince you that the problem is the solution. And that's where you're going backwards at. So with that being said, the only thing is the solution. Other than that, it's not going in the right direction. So if you're going to move forward in life, because business shouldn't even be called life. I mean, business should be called life, because at the end of the day, we doing it in group economics. Everything you do in business, we doing it like trust. Then you got to trust somebody, all this. So if you relate it to your life and having dominion over your own stuff, and then, you got the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. How's you a Lord or a king if you ain't got nothing? So you have to handle business. Stay out of my business. Get out of my business. Mind your own business. We doing it. But because you're not in the now and you so victimed out, you can't go to the next stage properly. Or even if you got the money and the things, you still don't feel abundant. So what does it matter to have it and you're not feeling it? So what I took on is, and what I believe that however everybody can slice it in their own way, I'm a king. Anything that ever happened to me, it's because of me. I don't care if it's bad, good, or ugly. But since I'm not a victim and I'm living in the now and all is well, I brought everything on myself, because guess what? I can do something about everything because it's a solution. It's a done deal. So with that being the case, that don't mean you're not going to have ups and downs. You ain't going to feel a type of way about something. But with having that type of mentality and that type of energy, and having your eyes wide open and your ears clear enough to hear, you're going to surround people are going to come around you that you have to allow to be in your life for when you do feel a certain type of way, and then your cousin, your friend, whoever, you like, hey, I done conquered the world yesterday, but I feel bold right now. But guess what? You conquering the other half of the earth. Oh man. Then they like, come with me. You surround yourself around your success. You set the volley up. You set it up for the volley. And then guess what? If Jesus, any savior that came here, whatever you want to believe in, how the hell you think you about to get through this trying to be number one and you just about to float through? Is you out your rabbit ass mind? You know what I'm saying? Like, you really think you about to save everybody, get all this and smile, and just nothing gonna happen, huh? So what that says to me is the path that any savior that came here went through, it just means you're gonna have plateaus. You're gonna be the student and then a teacher sometime. You're gonna plateau. If you're always trying to push it forward and involve what you should be doing, because your life is not necessarily your own. This is a part of the process. So have the proper perspective to get through the process to for success. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes all the sense in the world to me, because my perspective and where I'm coming from, and I don't expect everybody else to get it, but I'm glad I'm able to say something here and just in general, because once you realize that you are the success, you are the money, you are everything you looking for, and it's inside of you, it don't matter whether you got a crumb or you own everything and everybody got to pay you. It don't matter. And then that's where everything comes to you. And I done took on this philosophy as a king. I want to give everything and ask for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if it's about law of attraction, whatever, however you are, you're going to attract. If I'm abundant, happy, solution-based, I'm always get the solution and the happiness. If I'm always thinking about the problem, I don't care who I am. God is not a respecter of person. It's of principle. Take on the principles that make your life the way you want them to be. The end. All is well.
I love that, Montez. I love that so much. And like, there was a few things that like you really made me think of. The first was like you reaping what you sow. So you got to sow good seeds. Yep. You got to sow good seeds in order to reap it in order for it to come back to you. So that is so powerful. And I know what you mean about like taking on that victim mentality and flipping it, right? So a lot of society, they're like, they feel like, oh, well, the government did this. Oh, well, my employer did this. Oh, all that stuff, pointing the finger. But at the end of the day, you need to point it back to you. It's like, okay, what did I do in order for that result to happen in my life? So I appreciate you telling us that and sharing that and just reminding us of those principles, because it's important. It really is. It helps us shape our state of, our mind frame and how we operating out here, like you said, minding your business, right? So thank you for that. Any other comments?
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, everyone. I just want to thank you guys for this therapy session. I just saved a whole lot of money. But you guys are great. We need to do this more often. I was tuned in like never before, and it needs to be like a weekly thing, because we are dealing with stuff, and especially in the community, we don't talk about mental illness, and we are going through it. So thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Hello?
Thank you so much, Demi. Thank you, Dimitri. And any of the panelists, you guys could jump in and comment if you have any comments for what they're saying. Hey, Gina, we can hear you. Hey, Gina.
Oh, yes, I am so elated because I was in the middle of cooking and then I got your text to join in. So I had to put everything aside and just sit and listen to you all, because most of you all are old enough to be my children. I just turned 70 this year. But I had a smile on my face half the time, because what you said, Christina, about taking somebody to lunch that's in your field, a millionaire told me the same thing over 30 years ago. So you guys were basically reminding me of my past, who I was. I didn't let things bother me, stop me. I just wish that I had the internet like you guys have now, because I am meeting so many young people. They don't have to work 20 years to retire, or 30 for most of their life. I still work in my field because I still have a passion for it. But now I'm getting ready to, how you say, redo something else. So I'm not on my feet so much because it's affecting my health. But a lot of it depends on you, your faith, your focus. But I was just so elated to hear what I heard. And a lot of it is mindset. A lot of it is trusting God. I just went through something mentally with family, and it was so good to, even though I was crying, and I said, I will not let no one else abuse me mentally or verbally again, because I love who I am. And I refuse to allow this to happen to me. And then, like, as you were saying, Christina, I get up every morning. I learned the Aaronic prayer in Hebrew because Rabbi had said something that stuck with me for years. He said, if you learn the first language of God, your relationship will change. And it has. So I sing 2 different prayers in Hebrew every day. I try to every day. I'm not going to say I do it every day, because sometimes, I get so busy, I forget. But it is a form of meditation. And you're quite correct. My day goes great when I meditate. And hopefully one day I can just be like you all. I don't need to worry about how much I'm going to make this week or not make this week, because it's coming. Because just like this young lady said, Brianna, same as my granddaughter, she said, I will be the first to be a multimillionaire in my family. Because when you set goals for yourself, you may not get to Mars, but you get to the moon. You'll get somewhere near where you want to be. And like I said, y'all were better than a church service. You really were. So y'all need to applaud yourself, because God's mercy will always, and grace will always be with you the rest of your life, as long as you trust him. And the other thing I wanted to say, I met a little 2-year-old baby, because I had been, I think Black people have this gift, because I had been telling a lot of my friends when things were going down during the pandemic, and I kept saying, God did not give us a spirit of fear. Yeah. And then God confirmed it when this little white boy came in the barbershop with his mother, and he kind of halfway turned around. I saw the word God, and I asked his mama, could I see what was on his shirt? The same thing I had been saying all week. God did not give us a spirit of fear. He did not. And sometimes we have a tendency to forget that when the circumstances around us are going crazy. But again, I want to thank all of you all.
Thank you, Gina. We really, really, really appreciate you, coming, engaging, pouring into us. And we just, we really appreciate you allowing us to pour into you too. And everything that you said is spot on. So, all the success, abundance, prosperity, everything is coming to you. It's already there. You just, got to get in alignment with it. But, huh?
I receive it.
Yes, amen. Yes, amen. Yes, I love it. I love it. Something that stuck with me, something that I always say all the time is live by faith, not by sight, because there's a lot of things out here in this environment that we see, but if we just disregard all of that stuff and just live by faith and know that our God, the Creator, is going to provide for us, or that everything that we are praying for is coming, then it is, and there's an argument to that.
Well, I do want to invite all you all. Most of the churches here in Atlanta, we fast. We do the Daniel's fast. So if you go to freechapel.org, the fasting resources, materials, everything is there. Your contract with God, everything is there. And trust me, it works. It works. If God sees that you are before him, you're focused on him, you're spending time with him, trust me, he'll give you the desire of your heart. So I'm inviting you guys. Our church starts the first Sunday in the month for 3 weeks. No bread, no meat, no sugar.
I love it. I love it.
So, but it works. So I'm throwing that out to you all as a challenge, because like I said, when God sees you trying and doing, he'll do for you.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, you know what? Fasting, honestly, I think God wants all of us to fast, you guys, because God told me to fast yesterday. Yeah.
So he called you to do that. Because that wasn't no conference call. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to say. I'm gonna have my meat, boy. You ain't fooling me.
Y'all are funny.
Hey, it's so funny. I don't know.
I'm gonna go make a sandwich someday.
Well, my friend drank beer. I mean, the first time she did it, she drank beer in the middle of the fast. So, oh my gosh. So, but you know what? I'm serious. She did, and now she's like, she pray and do more things than I do. I'm serious. Her husband had just cheated on her, and
oh dang. No.
Yes, she was going through it, but now, oh my God, she's remarried, everything now. So
love it.
God works miracles.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
God did.
Yeah. Ronnie says she's on a fast right now, so she's doing it. She's fasting, so she's getting close. She's sharpening that connection with God. I love it. I love it. Any other comments, questions, concerns, anything? Thank you so much, Gina.
Hi,
You're
Christina.
welcome.
Hey, how are you? Wait, who is it?
This is Amaris.
Oh, hey, Amaris. How are you, Queen?
I'm okay. I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank you guys for today. I have pretty much cried through this whole podcast today, but Christina, keep doing what you're doing, because God places people in our lives. I've been following you, since 2016, and the algorithm on Facebook and all these different things, you see things, and then you have people on there, and then they disappear. You get a new set of people.
Oh my God.
But you have always been on there. You have popped up for some reason in all of my social medias. We've stayed connected since then, some way or another. Even if I didn't say anything to you, you didn't say anything to me, I was watching something that you was doing. And I say, Christina got it going, and fear, like you guys were talking about earlier, fear and the mindset that we're brought up with. I would say, I want to do that. I want to do that. But I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to do what she's doing because I'm here, and like I say, it's a lot of things that you guys are talking about today that got me thinking about, like you said, like how parents, things that was fed to us that they didn't even know was fed to us. It was okay. If I didn't want to do something, it was okay. If I was, if my brother was playing this sport, you didn't want to play no more, okay, walk away. The only thing I had to do was bring the grades home. I didn't have the push to do anything else. If I wanted to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. You know what I mean? So it's hard when I think about now things I want to do, but to try to break the mentality of what's done, from growing up is really hard. To say, yes, I can do this. Yes, do this, and the fear of, if I do it, like the fear of failure. So this today has been a eye opener. Like I say, I was asleep. I got the text. I said, I'm not gonna do it because I gotta go to work. I said, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. I woke up at 3, so I said, I'm gonna go back to sleep. I'll just catch it on the rerun. and I didn't even know what the topic was. And then I looked, I said, let me see what they're talking about today. And I jumped on and I said, well, let me listen to it for a little bit and then I'll go back to sleep. And the way you guys hit me today, like I said in my message, it was so awesome. Like it opened so much for me today. Like I said, I have cried through this whole podcast, you know, because it brought so much to my attention. You know, I mean, it was like a release for me today. So I just want to thank everybody on here. Your stories that you were telling, like I could see me like in each story, like each thing you guys were saying, like with your fears and things like that. I was seeing like bits and pieces of me in each and every one of them, you know. So I just want to thank everybody for the things that you guys said today and being open, honest, and vulnerable for us to share this with. And Christina, you know I don't even talk on these things, so you know it must have hit me pretty good today.
Amaris, I just want you to know that we love you. We adore you. Thank you so much for coming off of mute, for sharing with us, for you being vulnerable right now, and just, you know, expressing your feelings and your emotions. And just know that you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to start a business, if you want to get on YouTube, if you want to be an influencer, content creator, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. And all you have to do is just
generate a new and
that you can do it.
And you know, like I talked to a friend of mine, for some reason, the Lord, like I said, the Lord keeps bringing me to you. And I was telling a friend of mine, I say it's a lady I know named Christine. I say that I follow a lot, and I say, you know, we were talking. I said, and I need to contact her. I said I wanted to contact her about a mentorship. I said, but I hadn't done it yet. And like it's you know, we say we're gonna do things and we put them off and put them. I'm like, well, Christina busy, you know, I'm not gonna call her right now, you know, or I'm doing this, I'm away, I can't really do nothing, you know. The last time we talked, I was in the woods and my phone was cutting off, and you know, we never did like really just get back together. But it's like, I don't know, it's like I keep asking God to show me why I'm here. What's my purpose other than to be on these people's floor for 12 hours, you know? So like I said, I just want to thank everybody.
Yes, I love it. I love it, Amaris. And you know what? We're gonna talk offline. We definitely are. Oh my God, I don't know. I appreciate you. I'm getting emotional right now too, but I have so much love in my heart for you. And the last thing I want to tell you is don't let fear hold you back, because like you said that you see me on social media and all this stuff like that, but I let fear hold me back for 5 years, like 5 years where I wanted to be on YouTube. I wanted to be, you know, doing videos behind a camera, talking to people, all this stuff. And I let the fear hold me back because I thought, oh, what if I forget what I'm going to say? What if I, you know, stumble across my words? What if this, what if that? And I let it hold me back for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to encourage you, do it while you are afraid. Whatever it is that you want to do it while you're scared, do it while you're afraid. Like Musa said, like Leonardo said, look at the fear in the face, right? He said fear has a front row to all of his motivational speaking engagements, right? Every time that he's on stage, fear has got a front row seat. So that's exactly what you need to do. Even if you shaking, sweating, your voice is cracking, whatever it is, you need to do it while you're in that state, because then you're going to get comfortable. Then you're going to build up your confidence. Then you're going to look fear in the face and say, you're a joke, right? I'm not gonna let you hold me back anymore. I'm taking off the shackles. But I love you, Amaris. We are gonna talk. We're gonna talk tomorrow as long as you're free, because I'm available, honey.
Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow before I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm leaving LA, going back home tomorrow for Christmas. But
Will
so
you call me when you're free?
Okay.
Yes. Any other last comments, questions, or concerns? The only thing that I want to say now is thank you to Brianna, because all of this was possible because of Miss Brianna J. Woods. She was inspired to put this whole thing together. She's like, I have an idea. The platform will be great for it. The community needs it. And we brainstormed together, and she was able to put this whole thing together beautifully. And now we're to the point where we want to bring this to you every single month. So we're going to do this panel, something like this, where it's entrepreneurship and something. It could be family, parenting, finances, anything. But we're going to bring this to you every single month, once a month. Because, these open discussions, us sharing, us being vulnerable, it's needed. It really, really, really is needed. And I just want to, just show my appreciation for Brianna, because it takes a village, and she's a villager. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight, for being a part of the community, for pouring into us, for allowing us to pour into you guys. And we will see you guys next Wednesday on Zoom, 7 p.m. And that's it. Good night.